That's the idea. From a trading perspective, I totally agree with you. Where it's like, in my personal trading, I mean, we were talking about this the other day. Like, I don't really use. It's kind of hilarious because like I spent a lot of time building this, and then I spent a lot of time building a couple of other tools that I really like. And to be honest, I don't really use them. I just trade on a chart, especially lately. And it's just because like, especially going through that process of building them just gave me a feel for what's happening. And so I'll check in to see, whether the market dynamics are changing. And I think that this is going to be useful for that too, because you'll see, are people starting to buy options instead of sell options, which is like really useful to know. But in terms of intraday, like, am I looking at these tools after like, the last year of, just watching futures tick around? Not really.
So the next part of this, then, are you going to add gamma into it, or are you going to just go right into adding the Vanna into it?
So we're so not all of that is up to me actually.
Gotcha.
But we're definitely going to add gamma into it. I forget I wish I could update you on what the latest idea was, because we've tossed around so many different sort of, because now it's basically the first part of the issue is a data processing issue, right? And sort of the theory and the math behind it and all that stuff. And then the next part of it is a data visualization problem, right? Because one of the issues here is that, right, we can kind of scrub through it, right, and we can see what's happening, but intraday you can only look at what's the latest part is. So I think that's why doing a sort of GEX type of structure where we're using these same charts, that the dots that GEXBot has, that tell you where the volume was 5 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, is probably going to be helpful, so that you can get that time dimension in there as well.
Yep.
So yeah, that's one of the things that we're thinking about.
Fascinating stuff. Absolutely fast. Well, I guess the next evolution would be able to set up alerts with it. that way it'll just pop up with with a trade idea based on what's occurring. But it's going to be the same kind of thing. You're looking for patterns, and setups. The setups are always going to be different for the most part.
I hadn't thought about that, man. That's a pretty good idea, to just like have an alert that's like somebody just bought 2,000 calls at this strike or something like that.
Well, and that's the thing is like, well, do you even need the visualization if you just had the alert? Because if you just sent me a text that said someone just shorted 2,000 contracts at 41.10, well, that's already enough for me to go. Especially if you watch it every day, that's a lot. You just go, okay, well, I guess we're getting long SPX, right? Or at least shorting, at least getting some put credit spreads.
I do have maybe a little bit of an issue for that, because one of the things that I think you could maybe see where like there are these moments when people will, for instance, I'm trying to find a good one, but like they'll short like 1,000 contracts or something like that. I mean, today was the day that we're looking at was a pretty slow day, but I've seen, especially into close, some people who have come out and like they buy 500 lots or something short, and then they sell them 2 seconds later, and then they buy them back, and then they sell them again. And it's like sometimes like there's these like high frequency things. Essentially, you expose yourself to noise, because there are other traders out there that can trade faster than you can, and who don't have as much friction, as many costs.
An alert with X number. Okay, I mean that's just a specific example, but if you could set up an alert that was actionable using it, okay, because I'm not saying 2,000 short puts is a buy, right? But it is, depending on the day, it's all relative, okay? Because if it's a slow day and you see that, and you haven't seen any volume at all, well, then that's something. If it's like everybody's high frequency trading all day long, well, then who cares about the 2,000?
No, I agree with you, Vic. There's all sorts of things that can like be kind of built on top of this, whether it's sort of monitoring, net bullish, net bearish type of stuff, or using other Greeks, or I don't know.
Anything that makes your life a little bit easier when you're trading, a little bit more confidence. Because you're looking at a naked chart and you're like, well, I should probably short these puts, but there's a lot of error under there.
But you're scared. Exactly. It
Yeah,
looks
there's
like
a lot of
there's
error
nothing
under there. But then you see this and you go, well, there's short puts down to freaking 40 points. So
that's the other crazy thing. It's like if you look at the volume profile, it looks like there's nothing, and yet these people are out there being like, yeah, no problem, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to think about it from the perspective of the huge money. And it's really hard for us to do that because we don't have huge money. Okay. And even if you do have a lot of money as a retail trader, it's nothing compared to these guys that are out here shorting these naked and trading them every 2 seconds or whatever. I mean, it's nothing for them to come out here and short these naked, right? Like you're not blowing them up.
Yeah, no. That's the other thing. That's the other thing to understand. It's that, and this is one of the. I made this long tweet the other day, where I was talking about sort of like trading quantitative strategies and like trading around fair value. I mean, part of the point of that was, hey, like if you're a retail trader, and this is what you were talking about too. It's like it's really, really hard to deal with extreme moves because you don't have the liquidity to do so, right? So if you're trading a mean reversion strategy, you have to get out at some point. But the thing is, if your liquidity is like pretty uncapped, then you can always just roll down and roll down and roll down until at some point that put's going to expire worthless and you'll make all your money back, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and that is so key, is your liquidity, your capital. And being able to trade within your means, you know, it's like people say live within your means when you're budgeting. Well, trade within your means is another thing because, yeah, like you're talking about averaging down the other day, and I was reading that tweet and I was like, yeah, you know, if you go to practice account, you just average down forever, and eventually it just returns and you make money. You literally cannot lose money. If you do that. But it's like if you're on your stinking eval account and you got a trailing loss of $1,500, like you're pretty screwed pretty fast, especially if you're trading full. But like, yeah, it just trade within your means is
I mean,
the key.
all of my biggest blowups have followed exactly that pattern where it's a trade that I know is going to make money, which, you know, you're not really supposed to say that, but I pretty much know it's going to make money. I'm in it. It goes against me. I get more. It goes against me more. I get more. It goes against me more. I get more. And then eventually the variance is so high that I cannot tolerate it. And so that by the time it actually makes money, I'm not there anymore.
Yeah, it's the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. It's such a stupid cliche saying, but it's so true because you know what's coming, and this is what gets you. Again, even if you're coming in here shorting these puts, it's like, well, you know it's not going there, right? But all it takes is that one time to completely take you out, and because you don't have the capital requirements, and it's just like that's what gets you, is that right there, that one time that it can take you out. That even though you're right, even though you're probably right.
Well, it's like this weird phenomenon where like being right in the market is contingent upon staying liquid.
Hi, man, that's such a good way to put it, bro. Man, it is. It really is. It's like these bears that are right. Yeah, the market's going to crash and it's going to be incredible. And it's going to be an amazing time because it's going to be a really good time to buy stock too. But it's like, yeah, how long can you hang on short, until we get 4,800 again? I mean, seriously, it's like, yeah, we could go to 4,800 and then drop to 2,500, but by then you're done, right? By the time it hits 4,800, even if you hold on, it's like, that ain't fun, man. You just missed out on like 500, 600 points. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's just like, yeah. So the key is to trade within your means, and this is what I've been doing a lot lately. Is trading these iron condors, this boring stuff, man, because it's what my account can handle right now, and I can scale it as much as I want. So I can trade these outer edges of the ranges because I'm pretty sure I'm pretty confident with it, and it's got high probability, and I can trade as many contracts as I want to, and it's not going to blow me up. So I can't be blown up. I've got odds on my side, and I can scale it as much as I want. It's super boring though. It's
It
not
gives
zero.
you it gives you this like feeling of freedom. I almost like, but again, like you're saying, in a really boring way. So it's very strange. Like at some point, I remember a while back, and still occasionally, like trading for me was this thing where like my eyes are kind of glued to the screen and I'm really invested in it. And that usually will happen when I'm trading a quantity that I know could blow me up, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah, 100%. Like I'm pretty long Tesla right now, so I'm sitting here watching futures like a psychopath because I'm going. I had an idea that the market was going to gap down big, but I feel like it's not going to for another 4 weeks. So I got long Tesla, but I'm still not sure about it, and I'm probably a little bit more long than I should be, and so I'm probably not going to sleep very much tonight. But that was another thing I was thinking about. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was like, in general, if you're confident about a play, you should probably be in it enough to where you're not going to lose sleep. But that little line there
yeah.
where it's just enough to make you kind of nervous.
Well, that's like I've done a lot of my best trading, and it's really sucks because it feels because here's the flip side of it. Um, when I'm trading futures intraday now, I've been doing what Jess had been yelling at me to do for a while, which I only trade one contract at a time. Um, and it's so boring. Like it's so boring, weirdly. But what's cool about it is that it almost feels like when I go to the gym, right? Like when I go to the gym, I try to do, I try to go to like 85% of my capacity. I never go
Right.
over that because I like to go to the gym every day. And so when
Yeah.
I trade, I like sit down to trade and I'm just like kind of hanging out, and it becomes more of like a meditative experience where
Yeah.
the fluctuations don't really matter in a way, and I'm just kind of like along for the ride. The downside is like if you want to get some endorphins or anything like that from it, like it's just not going to happen. It's just
You gotta kill
not
that
good.
impulse. You have to. It's so imperative. You have to go robot because if you're in it for the endorphins, then eventually you blow yourself up on purpose.
Oh
You
yeah, yeah,
self-sabotage because that's
yeah.
way more fun than making your measly gain every day and being done for the day and going about your business and then walking away from the screen. That's hard to walk away from the screen, especially if you love the game. And you
Yeah.
should have another life outside of trading. I think is key, absolutely key, to have other stuff going on, because otherwise you just blow yourself up because it's just way more interesting.
Well, and that's like I totally agree with that. The What I've been doing lately, at least, is I've been spending all this time coding, to be honest. And so like I will code and trade at the same time.
There you go. Yeah. So now you
Um,
got something to do while you're sitting there waiting for the stinking market to move,
exactly.
instead of trying to, finagle it or make it do something. It's like, man, why don't they just sell this thing off 100 points and then we can start trading again? Like, what is it? What are they doing? And otherwise, you just go do something else. Like I've just been building chicken coops and like taking care of the garden and stuff. Just something else to keep my mind off of it. That way I can
Yeah.
set my trade up and I just go do something else. This is why we trade, right? So you can have a life.
That's what my girlfriend always tells me. She's like,
Right. Go hang
you're
out with your girlfriend.
you're supposed to have all this free time because you do this really weird thing, and then you never seem to have any free time.
And you're stuck to it still, because you're addicted to the endorphin rush of hitting that freaking 1000x SPX trade because you see it happening and it's like,
Well, I mean,
or yeah.
I don't know if I'm addicted to that anymore. Now I'm addicted to the coding, man. Like just because I can't stop. Like when you see data that's this cool,
Yeah.
it's just so hard to stop because like there's so many things to do with it.
And okay, so that's where I'm at right now, is like I'm kind of sick of the learning phase. I've been in the learning phase and there's always more to learn. Like, even like right now, learning about this is really cool, but it's like that learning phase got to stop sometime, and you actually got to trade for a business. You know what I mean? Like to make money, to generate revenue, and that's kind of boring. It's like a chore almost.
It is a chore because like the reality is that at first, this was a hobby for me. I think it was a hobby for you too, and like and that's what was kind of nice about it, is that like there was some enjoyment to be gained out of it. And now like all of a sudden I have to divide my life into like this is the part of the trading that I do for income, and this is the part of the trading
Yeah.
that I do because
Well,
I
now,
like it.
yeah, now it's a business, man. Now it's your job. and you don't want it to be a job. That's why you did it, so it wasn't a job. So you didn't have to go work 9 to 5. And now you got a job, but you only got to work 9 to 10, right?
That's true. So I'm one of the things that I am working on is like I've been diving a little deeper into automation, and
there you go. See, and that's what everyone goes to, man. I'm telling you, like we were talking about, it's boring because you want to be a discretionary trader and make the right call and this kind of stuff. And then you got the systematic guys who are over here going, okay, I'll be at the gym again, or I'm going on vacation, and my system's just going to do the stuff for me.
That's literally how I feel now. It's almost like the beauty of the pure discretionary trading. And I hope it's not a sour apples sort of thing, because I'm okay at it, but I'm not great at it. But I think it's almost like something about the glamour of it. It's like kind of gone from me in a way.
Yeah. It sort of charms you a little bit because, it's hype. I get hype when I make a right call. I'm not going to lie. Like if I'm buying the Discord and I'm going, oh my gosh, Tesla's going to close at 168 and it closes at 167.99. Right. I mean, like I feel real good because it's like, gosh, who else can, are people out here calling this stuff like this? I mean, and they are all the time, but it's like you're at the point in your trading career where you're calling the close on a regular basis. But you're not turning that into massive quantities of income. You're just doing it for the thrill. That's me anyways. Everybody else is different, but it's like, I'm just doing it for the thrill of being able to do it because it's fun instead of turning it into a business. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at now. Is like, I'm just like kind of sick of having fun with it and sick of trying to learn more stuff about it. And I just want to just turn it into a business, man. And yeah, like you said, automate it and then go do something else that's more interesting.
Yeah, the thing is, it's hard, especially when if you don't automate it, right? Because I told you, like I had those weeks where I was like sized up really significantly, to the point where like I was.
Yeah, right. I was like, come on, man. I mean, it's not a bad idea to do that. If you're gonna just go, look, I need to get into you got to be sized up when the trade is most in your favor, right? Like that's the ideal situation. Like if you get a situation where there's a short squeeze coming, you want to have as much size on it as possible as you can handle, right? You want to lean into it a little bit, not because you're just seeking a thrill, but
Well, I was at the point where I was like, oh, like maybe I can make my year's worth of income in a few weeks.
Well, then, yeah, you're gonna screw yourself over like that. I mean, how many blown up accounts do you have now because of that thought? Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is like that's me too, man. Everybody's like that. That's what trading gets you, because if you just get that one trade, like I know, man, if I would have just bought Tesla at the low of COVID, I saw a guy who did that. He bought like the 1,000 call or something pre-split at the lows of COVID, and it was only like a $300 position, dude, and it turned into $1.5 million.
That's insane.
I know. It was like, man, where's my trade like that? And I remember when Tesla announced their first split, and we all knew it was going to go nuts. You just had no idea that it went that crazy. But it was like I was loaded in calls, and the first sign of green, I got out. And the thing went ballistic, dude. Like I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of points in the money. And I could have been done, dude. I could have been done with that one trade. So then you go, well, no, I'm just going to look for the next one. Yeah. Okay. I just need that one trade, right? I just need to get to $1 million and I can buy a whole bunch of dividend stocks and just live off of that. Right. It's like, well, it's not going to happen. Okay. So you might as well suck it up and build your account slowly.
Well, I think I kind of definitely kind of got to that point. And then the other thing is it's just like something about just diving into the positioning like this. It just
it's great, man. I mean, I'm not trying to dog that either. I'm saying
no, you haven't. It's
fantastic.
You haven't been. All I'm saying is that it's sort of, I think it takes my mind away from thinking about how would I put it? Like thinking about goals, and it keeps me more in the process.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I
would say like Elon Musk talks about this is you got to do the chores. Okay. And so, using your creativity, doing this stuff, it's sort of the hobby, but your business is trading now, right? And it's like you got to come in. And you did, like, what did you do on Friday? Like 2,000, something like that, 2,300.
Yeah.
Yes. Boom.
Yeah.
Dude,
That was a
and
very specific day because I actually, that was kind of funny. I did that at my girlfriend's house, sitting on the couch like with her dogs on my phone.
Okay, so you're making a good point. I hope people listen this far. I mean, maybe you highlight this little psychological section, because you and we go through these psychological conversations every podcast, and it's always kind of like these little gems kind of come out between us. But it's that thing, man, where it's like, what was your purpose of starting to trade? What was your ultimate goal? And was it free time? Okay, and then what did you want to do with your free time? Do you have that set up? Like, do you know what that means? And it's like you made $2,300 sitting on your couch on your pallets with your girlfriend and your dog, you know, on your phone. And my buddy too, the one that's creating these other ones, he's always like, yeah, I should probably trade on a computer. I'd probably make more money, but I'm just trading on my phone. It's a little bit harder. I'm like, this is what I mean. It's like, well, you could come in here in 30 minutes, you're making more money than anybody in a month. You know, at McDonald's, they got to work 40 hours a week for a month to make $2,300. And it's like, you're doing that on your couch without even having to wake up effectively. What else are you going to do with the rest of your time? Because we got to have a purpose in life. And if you don't have another purpose, then you're going to blow yourself up because you're bored.
Exactly. No, and that's actually been really rough, and like something that's been like causing me significant anxiety, because it's like, on the one hand, right, it is fun to be, you know, like coding all these things and starting all these new ventures and whatever, but at the same time, especially when it turns into like Saturday, Sunday, I start to go crazy because I'm like,
I go crazy too. Yeah. I'm fortunate enough to have a family. We got tons of projects around here. I got to keep my mind going on other stuff. It's just, otherwise I do go crazy. Waiting, you know. And so, yeah, that's key, I think. And this is just part of the trader journey, is coming to the realizations that you need other crap to do, because it's not healthy to sit in front of the screen all day.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, it doesn't even increase your P&L, right? It doesn't.
Exactly. You're literally wasting your life on, and this is what I think happens in the market too, is like the real traders have figured this out, and that's why the lunch hour sucks, because they're just gone. They don't give a crap. They made all their money in the morning and then they're gone. Like, why sit around here all day long? You know, come sell these puts and then come close them out at 1:00 and then you're done. Right. I mean, it's like, that's the whole game. And that's why I've been loving these spreads so much, is because, yeah, I can come in here and I can open the positions and then not look at it and not even think about it, and then come back and they're green.
Yeah, set it and forget it is like actually a really, really good way to trade.
It is, and especially if you have other stuff to do. That's my whole point, is having another purpose in life that's even greater than trading. Trading should not be your ultimate purpose, only a means to the end. And if it's not a means to your end, then you're probably not going to do it right. Honestly, you're going to find some way to self-sabotage yourself so you can have some goal, some purpose again in life, is digging yourself out of the hole or whatever it ends up being. That way you can be trading again and have fun again, you know. And I don't know how many times I've watched my own P&L on an account. I'll get back to break even and then I'll blow it up again, just like on purpose. Like, I don't realize it.
Yeah.
Just so I can try to get it back to break even again. Like, what am I doing? And this is a true thing that people do, but it's because I had no other purpose in life. I had no other goals.
Yeah, I mean, not to make it even more psychological, but I think that happens even with like non-trading applications, right? Like,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's everybody does it, and it's some circumstance. It doesn't have to necessarily be trading. It's amplified in trading.
Yeah, and I mean, that's actually one of the things that I like about this. It's that, like, if you are, I mean, I think there are traders out there who are really good at what they do, because they're kind of almost like dull in a way, right? Where they're not super reflective, but they're also not super, how would I call it, circumspect. Like, they don't they just don't feel that much, and so they're
They
really
don't assign
good.
too much meaning to things, right?
Exactly.
Like when it comes to trading, this is the quote I read on Twitter is like, just become a robot on it. Don't assign so much meaning to the loss. Don't assign so much meaning to the profit. It doesn't matter. It's just a probability game. All you're doing is playing a probability game, and that's it.
Well,
Simple as
where I
that.
wanted to go is like that there are people who are like that naturally, but then what's fun is that for people who aren't like that naturally, all of a sudden you have to reflect about all the
Oh
stuff
yeah.
that happens, and
Yep.
then you start to see all of these emotional patterns that exist in your day-to-day life, just completely raw in this sort of unfiltered environment.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I love that because I also part of me thinks, hey, like if when I get to the point where like, and there is no point, right? It's a practice. But if I am consistently engaging in the practice of trading consistently, then it also means that my relationship to time and my relationship to like achievement or whatever, they're going to be at a healthy balance.
Right. Yep. Yeah, and that's a good way to put it, is being at a healthy balance with those things, not eliminating them completely. And I say become a robot just because I would have to. I have to do that because I have to completely eliminate, because I'm a super emotional person. So I have to completely go to the opposite end of the spectrum while I'm trading. Otherwise, I can succumb to the emotional whims a lot easier. So I have to force myself to be robotic and more
Yeah.
systematic, because otherwise the discretionary thing is fine, but it's not consistent. And that's the whole goal, is just to be consistent.
Yeah, and it's even sort of like I also don't know if I love the right. So we have this distinction here between systematic and discretionary, and I think a lot of people use it black or white as if right like systematic means algo and discretionary means you do whatever the hell you want. But the thing is like even discretionary traders, you always have a max size, you have a max loss, probably you have a daily stop loss. You have all these systems in place because even if you're discretionary, you cannot be purely discretionary. There's no way.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. You got to, if you're going to be discretionary, I guess that's a good point that you're making here, is you probably need to have more structure. And it's something that Mark Douglas talks about a lot, is that the market is an unstructured environment. Okay. There's no rules, and you have to make them yourself. You have to write your own rules. So if you're going to be discretionary, you probably need more rules so that you can create structure, that you can be discretionary in. You got to create that environment yourself. And if you're systematic, you've already got the rules built in, and there's no input from you other than maybe pressing the button. So
exactly, which makes me, a lot of times when I'm trading quote unquote discretionary, it makes me feel like, oh man, why don't I just have a robot doing this for me? Because it's basically almost robot anyway, right? It's like this weird sliding scale where it's like, what's,
It's like if I could just train a robot to see what I'm seeing every day, and I didn't even have to be here. Well, there's the holy grail, right? Because then that's ultimate. Because a lot of times you got to get enough trades in order to benefit from the probabilities. But sometimes you're not taking the trade you should take, and so you're going to be losing out on the probability game because you're not taking the trade, even if it's a loss. So that's the other issue,
because you're busy or your dog is sick or I don't know.
No, that's exactly right. Because it's like, well, sometimes I'm at work and I'm in a trade, and I'm like, okay, I got to take this trade because it's like, this was the trade I like to take. And then I'm getting 30 calls in a row, or people are walking in and they need stuff, and it's like, okay, guys, I got to trade here because it's part of my game. But I'm not trading it right because I got people bugging me. So, I'm losing money probably because of that, in a sense, or capping gains because I'm not taking the trade like I should.
Yeah.
So you got to write more rules for that kind of crap. So
that's true. I think it probably makes sense to start wrapping up. I did want to say in concluding though that we're at like, I think for this thing, it's not a lot, but it's good. It's like 210 subscribers now.
For the GEXBot or for the OI Live?
Oh, 212. No. For the podcast.
YouTube, the podcast. Yeah. Nice, man. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So we need to get to 1,000. If you are listening to this at this point, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. and leave a comment on stuff you want us to talk about. Okay, because we need input from the actual audience. Otherwise, we're going to be here pontificating about the same stuff
true.
every single podcast.